Okay, we are recording. We'll get started here. So first of all, welcome. If we have never been introduced before, my name is Melissa Christoffer. This is my husband, Josiah, and my two beautiful babies that keep me busy and a little bit crazy, but a good crazy most of the time. This is Callie. She is 5.5 officially, and Cohen is 2.5. They're both October babies, and we are already counting down the days to the next birthday party. They are obsessed with all things Paw Patrol and Umizoomi, and my husband works at Shields. He is a trainer there and does a lot of the sales training. He also is an assistant store leader. So if you're ever in Shields in Sioux Falls, or you've heard of Shields before, he wears a white shirt every day, works his tail off to provide for our family. And so I'll share a little bit more about that later, but that's actually one of the reasons that drove me to do doTERRA as a business. I am an educator, a part of a huge group of oil users, doTERRA oil users, and we're called the Living Drop Collective. And so really what that means is we feel like the drops of essential oils in those doTERRA bottles are literally living drops. And we have the potential to give life to people, not only just through the essential oils, but really through our words. Our values are that we spread words of life. So we're really big on making sure that we don't talk negatively about other educators. We don't talk negatively about other companies. We don't spread fear on any of our education. We really choose to empower through education. And I always say that in my classes now, my goal is to educate you for sure. But if you go home just super educated in oils, but you're not actually empowered to use them, what a waste, right? So we really want them to be empowered. That's one of our values. We also teach a lot about being cautious with oils because they're incredibly powerful, but not to be fearful. And so I love teaching new mamas how to use oils with their babies. I love to use oils with animals. I love to teach people how to use doTERRA oils. They are the safest essential oil on the planet and most powerful. We are super generous in the Living Drop Collective. I work side by side with a lot of my educators. I'll show you their picture here after a while, but I also work cross-line with other educators that are not on my team, and we work together and we share back and forth things that we've learned. In fact, this PowerPoint, some of it came from another educator, so it's just cool how much generosity is involved. And I will say that generosity is actually a really compelling reason for me to start doTERRA as a business, because we were living so much paycheck to paycheck that I really was never able to be truly generous in my life. Everything was always like, oh, I'd love to, but we just can't. And so doTERRA has given me an incredible platform to be very generous. And yeah, it's amazing. And then we really believe that lifestyle transformation happens in community. So you're on this call tonight because you've at least considered doTERRA as a business, or maybe someone like handcuffed you to your phone tonight and said, you need to consider doTERRA as a business. I'm not sure exactly why you're here, but more than likely you've been immersed at least a little bit into our community. And is it not the sweetest thing ever to have so many people that can back you with oil questions and oil ideas and just really support you? That's something that's really important to us on this team. We strive to help people through teaching about the importance of holistically healthy lifestyle. We speak life over people and circumstances, and we're generous in all the ways we live. We have been blessed to be a blessing. So I hope that you resonate with some of those points. I would say if you don't, this maybe isn't the best place for you. But if you do, if you're like, man, I love that, I can see myself doing that, I'd love to do more of that, this is a perfect fit for you. So I have to admit, I did not start doTERRA as a business. Am I the only one? I didn't. I just wanted the oils for myself. I call me selfish, but I did not want to do the business. In fact, Kristen, who shared doTERRA with me at first, asked me several times about doTERRA as a business. And every time I was like, nope, I'm good. We use it for our family. I love them. I got amazing results. I became oil obsessed. You see this gorgeous shelf? Don't you all want that shelf and all the oils on it? I wanted all the things, y'all. So there was a few reasons that led me into the business. One of them was wanting all the things, but another thing was I was always sharing. It was really hard for me to be in a room with someone that was coughing up a storm without being like, here's some breathe, or someone that's complaining of a headache that's been going on for 3 days without saying, can you please just try my past tense? I found myself always wanting to offer that. And so my friend Kristen finally said, how do I jump back here? You really should consider doTERRA as a business because you're already doing the business. So I'll be honest, it was really an intimidating thought for me at first, and I didn't even know what it meant. And so maybe that's where you guys are at when you're here. But my husband and I had always dreamed of business ownership, right? We actually talked about putting together an organic food shop and being able to offer people super healthy food in our local town. And then we were like, wait, a restaurant? We don't want to own a restaurant, right? And why have we always talked ourselves out of business ownership? Because of all the reasons you can imagine, right? So if you throw me up in the chat, I won't be able to see them all now, but I'd love to look back later. What would be your most ideal work environment? This is what I put on the list when I first started. And maybe you want to just jot down for yourself. I would love to chat with you more about it later. But if you could list the top qualities of your most ideal work environment, what would it be? So here were mine. I wanted to offer a new product or a service that was fun, that was something I was passionate about. I didn't want to feel like I was showing up at my job every day. I wanted to choose who I work with. I was tired of the drama and the politics in my work life. I worked at a salon in high school, and it was all women, and it was catty all the time, and it was exhausting. And I was only 18, and I knew that it was an issue. I wanted to choose my work style. I wanted to choose my hours, my schedule. I'm sitting in my house right now in my basement. I just kissed my babies goodnight, and I came down here to teach a class. Like that's pretty incredible. I still pinch myself. I cannot believe it. And then I didn't want to be ruled by an alarm clock. My friend Callie Kenny, who lives down in Alabama, she's the one that introduced Kristen to doTERRA oils, and Kristen is the one who introduced me. And I remember meeting Callie, and she told me that she woke up when her body was rested. She'd been doing doTERRA for 3 years, and she doesn't have an alarm clock. She wakes up when her body is rested. And she's like, now that I'm healthier, that is like, it's between 7:30 and 8:30, but I wake up when my body is rested. And I thought, you don't wake up to an alarm clock every day? It was just mind blowing for me. So I wrote that down. I was like, could it be possible that I could have a job that would pay the bills that didn't require an alarm clock? And then finally, I wanted to determine the culture, the mission, the vision, the values. I'm a very passionate person, and I have very big missions in my life. I'm a believer in Jesus. I am involved in children's ministry. I have 2 children of my own. I love my family. I love being involved in those kind of values. And I wanted those to be incorporated in my work. And this list, you guys, sounded crazy when I first started. But I'm telling you, I'm here today, and this describes my current work environment. So I just wanted to get your brain thinking about some possibilities. So here's the deal. If you're thinking that that's your list of things that you would want, I'm sure that some of you resonated with a few of those things, then you'd probably consider being your own business owner, right? You're like, well, if I'm going to work for myself and have the hours that I want, like I'd have to like start my own business. So if you think about what they call a brick and mortar business, like if I opened up a Starbucks on Minnesota Avenue, I would have incredibly high startup costs. At least $250,000 is an average startup cost just to get your doors open on your building. There's incredible time, effort required, right? I know so many people that own their business and they work so many hours. They're literally always working, because if they're working, then they don't have to pay employees to work. And when you're first starting out in your business, when you own a business, more than likely in the first 3 years, you're not making a profit. So it requires a lot of debt to get started. You've got to manage inventory and overhead. And did you know, this was so shocking to me, 8 out of 10 businesses fail in the first year and a half. And did you know that 96% of businesses fail in 10 years? In 10 years, 96% of the brick and mortar businesses in your world will be gone. They will have failed out. That's really scary, you guys. And then your schedule revolves all around your customers, clients, employees. So here is maybe the first time you've ever considered network marketing. And am I the only one that hears that word and I like kind of cringe inside? At least I used to, like, oh, I don't want to be that person. But here, let's put that aside for just a second and look at what it actually takes to start a network marketing business. There's typically very low startup, like in doTERRA, it's $100. It actually could be less than that potentially. Typical simple setup. So you don't have inventory or overhead to manage. I don't have inventory of oils in my house. I know a lot of people that do other direct selling companies, and they actually do have a lot of inventory. So maybe that doesn't apply to every network marketing, but in doTERRA, there's no inventory or overhead required. The success largely depends on you. You set your own schedule and you get to work with people that you love. So let's jump to those limiting beliefs, right? If you're on this call, you're thinking, I could see myself doing doTERRA, but, and I would bet quite a bit of money that you would have at least thought of one of these questions or comments in your head at some point. I'm just not a salesperson. I hear that all the time. Oh, I could never do what you're doing. I'm not a salesy person. I don't have what it takes, is basically what they're saying. I don't know enough. I don't know the right people. I don't know enough people. Are you thinking that? Because that was totally what I thought. I don't know enough people. I don't have time to invest in a business right now. I have 2 kids. I'm already working part-time. My husband already works insane hours. How would I ever be able to build a business? My personality just isn't a good fit. Admitted introvert here. Extroverted introvert, I think is what I'm called. I like to be at home is how you define me. And then isn't this one of those pyramid schemes? So we should address that. Definitely there are pyramid schemes in the world today. A pyramid scheme is actually a business that is set up on just a business opportunity. There's actually no product involved. So you get someone started for a business opportunity, they buy in just for the business opportunity, and you keep selling this business opportunity. There's never actually any product that's exchanged. It's highly illegal, and they are they do exist, but they're rare and highly illegal. doTERRA is not in any way, shape, or form a pyramid scheme, but I do want to talk with you about a pyramid. What is the shape of a pyramid? My kids are obsessed with Umizoomi, so the shape bandit was on today. A pyramid is in the shape of a triangle, right? So think about, my husband works at Scheels, and I love Scheels, you guys. It's an incredible work environment for my husband. They have been so good to us as employees, so please don't hear what I'm saying. An incredible company. However, Scheels is set up in a pyramid, in a triangle. There is one man at the top. His name is Steve Scheel, ironically enough, and he has an entire executive committee right below him. So let's say it's like 8 to 10 people. Right below them are the store owners. So there's one store owner for every store. There's one in Sioux Falls, there's one in Reno, there's one in Denver. And then right below them are assistant store leaders, and there's more assistant store leaders than there are store leaders. And then below the assistant store leaders, you have shop managers, and there's even more of them. And then below the shop managers, you have the salespeople, and then you even have cashiers and freight and all of this. So the majority of Scheels is made up by the workforce, the blue collar workers that are going to work to do labor, to sell, all of that. And they probably get paid less than Steve Scheel, wouldn't you expect, obviously? And so someone would look at the structure of a company like Shields and say, that looks like a pyramid. Well, of course, it's shaped in the triangle. The person at the top is making the most money, and the people at the bottom, there's more of them and they're making less. That doesn't make that company a bad company. That just is how every structure in every business works. So I just wanted you to consider that. So why doTERRA, right? Because you could do, so if we're going to start thinking about network marketing and the ability to work for yourself and low startup costs, why would you choose doTERRA? And honestly, I wouldn't have been able to answer that question when I first got started with my essential oils. I knew that they had essential oils, and I knew that they were giving me amazing results, and I knew that they were pure, and everyone had told me that they were the biggest essential oil company in the world and all of that. Well, now I'm learning more and more about doTERRA, and I can tell you I'm literally falling more and more in love with this company and what they stand for. So there's a big difference between selling makeup, selling clothes, and being a part of a health and wellness industry. When I go to a class and I meet with people and they start looking at the kits, there's nobody that typically that has $550 that they just like write a check for and are like, meh, no big deal. But you know what? They consider a $550 kit because they're saying, well, I spent $1,000 just tonight, a girl said, I knew I needed a kit because I just got done spending $1,000 in the hospital clinic setting in the last month, and I'm still as sick as ever. So if this has even a small potential to help me, it's worth it. So it's a completely different industry. It's a health and wellness, and people prioritize that differently than they do makeup purchases and cleaning purchases and clothes. And while I love all of those things, don't get me wrong, I actually purchase from a ton of direct selling companies. I love Norwex. I love Osborne Books. I love 31. I love all those companies, and I own all their stuff. But I'm telling you, when it comes to the end of the month and I either do have money or I don't, if I don't, I'm not spending it on something that I can live without. The essential oils, like, I can't sleep without Serenity. I can't breathe without Breathe. I can't deal with a sore throat without On Guard throat drops. Like my toothpaste, my shampoo, those are consumable products, and I'm always purchasing more. And if you're here, you're probably already have a doTERRA account. You're probably already obsessed with the product, and I don't have to go into this any further because you get it, right? So high integrity leadership and founders in a debt-free company. This is really important. There's a lot of companies that have been around for a few years and are piddling out. And you probably could name some of those. It's a lot of times because they start with a huge amount of debt and they're never able to get up over top of that. doTERRA started completely debt-free. And so there's no risk of them going under because of finances. And that's a really good thing because my paycheck is dependent on them being a steady company. The leaders are amazing. I can't wait for you to have an opportunity to meet with them. They have hearts of gold, and they are really committed to making this world a better place. The compensation plan is actually the opposite of most companies. I want to teach you a little bit about that before we finish tonight, but it's incredible. There's a very low barrier to entry. Did you know that all of you at this point, if you have a wholesale customer account, you could immediately start doing the business without any fee? There's no fee to start doing the business. There's no starter business pack that you have to purchase. Is an incredibly low barrier to entry. The culture of doTERRA is really similar to our Living Drop Collective culture of generosity, mentoring, co-impact sourcing, healing hands. I'm sure you guys are really connected with that already. It's probably why you chose doTERRA in the first place. And then I feel like retention is everything. A lot of people, if we jump back to those limiting beliefs, right, that we said, I don't know enough people, I don't have the time to invest, like I'm not a salesperson. Those were mine. And so I'm thinking, I probably know 20 people that would like essential oils, right? At least that's what I thought when I first started. So there's not a chance that I'm going to be able to find more than 20. And so my thought was, well, that I need to be with a company that has good retention. If I'm going to start 20 customers, they need to stay my 20 customers. Well, retention in the direct selling industry is actually 1 in 10. Think about it. Have you purchased from a direct selling company in the last 6 months? And if so, have you purchased in the 6 months previous with that same distributor? So I know about 12 Norwex like consultants, and I love them all. And I wish that I could support all of them, but I can't. With doTERRA, once I get an account and I'm enrolled, I'm connected to that educator for the rest of my doTERRA life. So doTERRA's retention rate is actually 7.5 out of 10 people stay with doTERRA. My retention on my back office, like if I log in and see of all the people that are on my team, 820, how many are actually ordering every 3 months, it's 69%. 69% of the people that I have shared with are still ordering at least every 3 months. That's really, really significant. So there are 5 ways to earn income with doTERRA. You're like, okay, we've got this. Like, I understand the company's great. The compensation plan is different. Well, how is it different? Well, you are able to be paid 5 different ways by doTERRA. So you can focus on different areas that you need or that you're good at, or that you where you want to grow your business. So the first is retail sales. Every time that you switch to a wellness advocate or you become a wellness advocate, doTERRA for free creates a retail sales site for you. So you never have to create a website if you don't want to. doTERRA will actually link you to a website where people can go on and order retail from your account. Now, remember, when you're selling someone retail, they're paying 25% more than they have to for the same product. So is it an option for people? For sure. But most times we see retail sales in clinics and shops and boutiques and things like that, yoga studios and all of that, where they just want to be able to purchase something off the shelf. I have actually only sold retail maybe 5 times since I started doTERRA 3 years ago, because I didn't want to get into a company and invite all of my friends to spend way more money than I did on a product and then make the difference. That's not how doTERRA works. Everybody pays wholesale pricing in doTERRA. So I don't make any money off of my friends because of how they've purchased. I get paid by doTERRA for enrolling and educating. Y'all see that? So retail sales, but doTERRA gives us, sorry about that, a bonus for enrolling and educating. So every time that I share with someone and they want to get their own starter kit, doTERRA pays me a fast start bonus. It's 20% of whatever they spend in the first 60 days. So I shared with a girl tonight. She purchased a home essentials kit. I made $45 for sharing with her. That's half of what I needed to spend this month to be paid with doTERRA. So you can really see how fast the money can be coming back at you. And that check is actually paid every week. So doTERRA every week pays you for who you've enrolled and educated the week previous. So you get paid for enrolling and educating. You also get paid for structuring your organization in the best way. And the cool thing is, I have become a master at this. And it's only because I have made a lot of mistakes, you guys. But I have learned along the way. And now I'm able to help my team build their teams and their bonuses even faster, because I've got a really strategic bent to my ways, and I'm able to help them. So what took me 5, 6, 8 months to get, some of my advocates, some of you on this call have gotten that bonus without even doing anything. So anyway, pretty cool. That Power of 3 bonus, you can have a $50 Power of 3 bonus. You can have a $250 Power of 3 bonus and a $1,500 per month bonus from doTERRA. That bonus I've been receiving for over a year now. It is life-changing money. And I promise you, it's just because all I've done is enrolled and educated and placed strategically. Residual income from follow-up orders, meaning I get paid from doTERRA just by having people on my team who order. And I don't really do a whole lot outside of a little bit of monthly education, connecting them to our team pages, but I get unilevel commission, basically meaning a certain percentage depending on where they're placed, just for people earning residually. That's actually the largest percentage of my check, y'all. Is inactive while I'm sleeping, while I'm on vacation, residual income, money from people making orders. And then we also, once we get to a certain place in our business, we'll start earning a leadership bonus that is actually a percentage of doTERRA's profit. They actually take their profit and split it up amongst their top leaders. And that can range anywhere from $200 to $20,000 every single month. So That's just to give you an idea. Okay, so I just want you to take a look at this, not because anybody wants to just talk about the money the whole time, but I'll be honest, you're in your job right now because you make money. Like, unless, I doubt that most of you would just show up at your job tomorrow just because. Like, you're there because they're paying you. So this is just important to talk about. When you look at these leadership ranks, premier, silver, gold, how long it takes someone to get to that rank. This is average, of course, but I see this with some of my leaders. Average weekly time spent. Of course, there's a huge range. It depends on how fast you want to get to these ranks, how long you want to sustain it. But these are the average monthly earnings. So when I first looked at this, I assumed it was yearly, right? But no, this is monthly earnings. Pretty cool, huh? So I have ranked to premier. I've ranked to silver, I have ranked to gold, I've ranked to platinum. I'm actually a diamond rank in doTERRA right now. My weekly time spent on my business is probably no less than 15 to 20 hours a week. And that is a little bit high of a monthly earning, but I am, it's pretty close to that. So pretty amazing. So imagine, what would you do with an additional $500 a month? What if you just did that top rank, that premier, that first leadership rank, and you were earning $500 a month? What would you do with an additional $500? I bet a lot of you would pay off some bills, right? Maybe you even want to mention in the chat, like, what would you do with $500 a month? I bet you spent that $500 in 4 seconds. I bet if I handed you a $5 check, you would spend it in 4 seconds, right? We all know what we could do with $500 a month, but what would you do with an additional $1,000 a month? Maybe that takes you a little longer to spend. Some of you are still like, nope, I know immediately what we would do. We pay off the car, we pay off my school loans, we'd start putting money on the house, like we'd take care of some credit card debt, whatever it was. And that's awesome. Imagine having that for your family every month. But what would you do with an additional $2,000 a month? What about $5,000 a month? Now there has to be a place where you're like, like you've paid off your bills. What about $15,000 a month? Like, it would not take long earning that amount of money where you would be debt free. And then all of a sudden, this is what happened to me. So someone did this exercise with me when I first started doTERRA, and I'll tell you how it worked. So they said $500 a month, and I was like, cool, we'd pay off our cars. And they said $1,000 a month, and I'm like, oh, yep. Then all the credit card would be gone too. All my school loans would be gone, and we'd start chipping away at the mortgage. $2,000 a month. I was like, cool. Maybe we could even go on a vacation or start putting even more money on the house. $5,000 a month, and then that actually started stopping. I was like, $5,000 a month. Like, that's really gonna make an impact on our mortgage. Like, I could even start putting some away for college for my kids. And then when they said this, $10,000 or $15,000 a month, I'll be honest, I'm almost ashamed to say this. For the first time, at that dollar amount was the first time that I thought, I would love to give some money to so-and-so who's trying to raise mission funds to go over to Africa. I would love to give to this other couple in my church that's trying to raise money to go over to Italy. And all of a sudden, for the first time in that exercise, you guys, I was thinking about other people. Like, because sometimes we get into this business and we start talking about money and we feel selfish, right? Like, money is the source of all evil. Well, it's the love of money. And so if all we ever think about is what we can do with our money to benefit ourselves, like, that is wrong. But for the first time ever, I was like thinking about how I could use this money to enhance other people's lives and invest in other people's dreams and take care of the stress and pressures from other people's lives. And that is a really powerful place to be. So what does it take? We're almost finishing up here. Looks great, right? Love to make $50,000 a month, Melissa, but let's be real. What's actually required of me to get there? And let me back up. Maybe your goal is never to make that kind of money. You just want to pay for your oils. That's a really good place to start. And that's actually where I started. I was oil obsessed. I wanted all the things. And if I could just make $150 a month to pay for my oil obsessed life, then I'd be cool. So here's what I would recommend. I think you should commit to 2 years. A lot of you are already on the rewards program with doTERRA, and a lot of you are already spending $100 a month just because you're obsessed with the products. So that's all that's required to do doTERRA as a business. Spend 100 PV every month, and doTERRA will cut you checks for everybody that you get started with. They'll pay you those 5 ways. That's all that's required. There's no startup cost. So I think you should take $150 a month, and I think you should finally invest in your health for your family. I think you should get on the supplements. You'll feel amazing. I think you should get all the oils that are going to help you stay healthy through the summer and the fall. I think you should get on probiotics. I think you should spend $150 a month, and I think you should consider an investment in your health and in your family's health. I think you should buy some things that are good for self-care. If you spend $150 a month for 24 months, that's 2 years, it's going to cost you $3,600. Either way, you guys, some of you are going to do this regardless. Why not share with the people that you love and get all of that paid back and more? So from personal experience, you can begin making a profit within a matter of weeks building this business. The time commitment's just going to depend on how fast you want to build, but I know people that start with 2 hours a week, but it's solid. They never slip from it. They always spend 2 to 5 hours a week reaching out, sharing with friends, teaching a class, whatever, meeting with someone for coffee one-on-one. Worst case scenario, after a couple of years, you've grown personally. We've become best friends, right? No, I'm just kidding. And professionally, you spent $3,600 over 24 months on products you're going to use anyway. That's what made me start really turning in my head. So I have to share this story with you. And if you've heard it before, I apologize. If you haven't, this is really, really important. More than likely, you are trading hours for dollars. And if you're not, then your husband is, or someone that you love is. So maybe this doesn't apply to you, but maybe it applies to someone that you know. And so I think it's worth listening to. So there is an old story that goes like this. There's a man in a village, and they live up at the top of the mountain, and the water source runs down in the valley, right? So every day he hooks up a bucket just like this, one on each side. He's got a rod over his back where the buckets are hooked to, and he walks all the way down the mountain. He scoops up the water through the bucket and carries it back up to the village for all the people. And they get fresh, clean drinking water. That's the only way they have access to it. So it's water, right? It's something that everyone needs and everyone wants, and everybody's willing to pay for it. So it's a really good job, and it has incredible job security, right? There's never going to be a time that someone doesn't need water. But in order for him to make money, he carries the bucket. So imagine that being you, right? Buckets on your shoulders, all the way down the hill, fill it up. How does he make more money? He carries more buckets, right? It's this incredible sustaining job. But one day he says, he has this thought, and he thinks, what if I built a pipeline? What if I built a pipeline that goes from the water source at the bottom of the mountain, and it just carries it by itself up to the village where everyone lives, right? So, but he can't just quit his job because he's supporting his family and himself. So he continues to carry buckets during the day, but this time he carries a few less trips, right? So he's maybe making a little less money because he's can only carry so many trips of the buckets so that he has enough time in the evenings to build his pipeline. So it takes almost 3 years, you guys, to build this pipeline. And the whole time he's carrying these buckets up the hill, and he's getting paid every time he wants to make more money. He carries more buckets. He spends more time. So he's trading hours, the hours of his life, away from his kids, away from his family, away from his purpose and mission and all that. And it's important because he's taking care of his family, but he's trading those hours for dollars. And all of a sudden, boom, one day he turns the spigot on in the village to the pipeline, and all of the fresh water from the bottom of the mountain flows right through. And all of a sudden, now people are paying him, and the work is done. That is what I'm doing in doTERRA. I, for a long time in my business, was carrying buckets. I was working at a chiropractic office, and you guys, I loved it, but it was time away from my purpose of being home, raising my babies. It was taxing. It was kind of stressful. And so every time I wanted to make dollars, I had to trade it for hours. And I'll be honest, there were so many days where my hours felt so much more valuable than the dollars that I was making. Some of you are working for $8, $9, $10, $11 an hour. I'm telling you, your time is so much more valuable than that. But if you're in a place where all you have available to you is buckets, that's an awesome opportunity, and you have to take it, right? But I'm telling you, There's a pipeline that could be built. I'm experiencing now, finally, 3 years later, 2.5, the benefits of this pipeline. And it was kind of tiring at first. I was carrying the buckets, and I was then leaving in the evenings, and I was even spending more time away from my babies. I was teaching classes, but it was fulfilling, and people were excited, and I was making an impact in their lifestyle. And now all of a sudden this pipeline is built. So it sounds exhausting, right? I don't want to paint this as like, oh, jump in now and you're going to make $15,000 in a month. Like, there's no company that should be doing that. And if they do, it's not going to last forever. I can promise you. But what does it really look like? I just put a few of the pictures up here because I wanted you to actually see. So this top picture is me and my friend Kristen that introduced me to doTERRA. If life would have just happened, she ended up not working at the chiropractic office anymore. She actually moved down to Texas. I promise you, life would have gotten in the way and we would have fallen away. We just would have, because life just does that. But now we're in this business together, and I talk to her nearly every day. She's one of my best friends, and she encourages me and empowers me. And here we are in Florida on a trip last year, learning about doTERRA together. This picture here in the middle is a bunch of little sample bags that I put together. We had a Love Yourself event. Maybe some of you were even included in that, but I was able to send out free samples of oils and things that are so amazing to people that I love and wanted to have that experience. And that was my job. It was just cool. So this picture over here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but I'm standing here with my friend Sally. She orders oils from me. And then right behind me is my mom, actually. And we're teaching a speed oiling class here in Sioux Falls. And it was so fun. Like, does it not look like I'm having fun here? I'm drinking tea, talking to my friend about oils, and doTERRA is paying me to do this. It's like still mind blowing. Over here is a bunch of sweet treats made with essential oils and all my oils out at a class. Just fun. So up here in the top right corner, this is kind of where it starts to get real, you guys. It says, when you have your health, you have 1,000 dreams. When you don't, you have one. So maybe you know or not. If you don't know me very well, you wouldn't know. But my dad actually had a heart attack last Tuesday. So it'll be a week tomorrow. He's doing fine. He is alive. Praise Jesus. But it was an incredibly stressful, overwhelming time. And I got the call at 3 in the morning that he was in the emergency room. And do you know what the first thing I did, you guys, besides talk to my mom for a few minutes? I went to my oil box and I grabbed an oil called Console. I don't know if you're familiar with it. And I rolled it all over my hands and all over the back of my neck. And I just took huge, deep breaths. And there was nothing in that moment that was going to make this horror go away. But it was so comforting to smell an oil that I love to smell, and just continue to tell myself that things were going to be okay. And we realized very quickly that our health, if we have it, we have 1,000 dreams, right? And when you don't, you have one. And there wasn't anything I wouldn't give to have my dad not go through that experience. But in an instant, I was able to drive up to Watertown, be with my parents, bring my kids. I didn't call my boss and tell him I wasn't going to be in. I didn't have to deal with sick days or worry about any of that. I just left because I could, and my business still went on. So that's a huge benefit to this business. Here's my friend Callie Kenny from Alabama. She's teaching this amazing, see, everybody's got foot baths under their feet. Like, we have so much fun teaching about oils. It doesn't have to be boring. Everybody's soaking their feet and loving it. These are the 4 leaders that I work with on a daily basis: Kelsey, Dawn, Stacy, Emily. They probably invited you here tonight, or one of their leaders did. I work with my best friends, including my mom, and it is an incredible gift. I couldn't imagine working with anybody differently. Yet we're all independent, right? They're not my employees, but we just get to be in a team and work together. So here is my husband and I. We're in Long Beach, California for some doTERRA training. We're on the public transit, actually. But we went on a vacation, and it was completely a tax write-off for my business. And we just popped it right on side, some training. Over here is a oil roller ball blend that says "Believe in your dreams." You guys, I don't know if you're like me, but I wasn't dreaming. I was in what we would call the prime of my life, in like my late 20s, early 30s, and I wasn't dreaming. I didn't have any dreams. We were living paycheck to paycheck. Like, we kind of dreamed, but it was like fake dreams. We knew we would never travel around the world. We knew we weren't going to buy a bigger house that actually fit our family's needs, like all these kind of things. Well, for the first time ever, we're actually dreaming real dreams, and our dreams are actually coming true. We're not only taking care of ourselves, but we're way past that. We're now finally taking care of other people. We give to over 4 missionaries who are full-time missionaries, and I just love it. This picture is some yummy, healthy food. I love that I can invest in my health and that be a part of my business at the same time. Hold on. And here is the last picture. Look at this sweet little baby. This is my little boy. And this, you guys, is why I do what I do. So I don't know if you resonate with this story at all. Maybe you don't have children. But my son was super ill in December of this last year. He actually had a fever for almost 2 weeks, you guys. He laid like that for 2 weeks, scared me to death. I had to use a ton of oils. I had to use a ton of prayer, a ton of friends that had to speak life into me. I knew that he would recover, but there were moments where I was like, what is happening and what do I do? I was so at my wit's end. But you know what, you guys? I didn't go to work for 2 weeks. I didn't go to work. I didn't do anything with my doTERRA business. I was able to sit on the couch all day long and hold this little boy who didn't want to lay down. He only wanted to be held by his mom. I didn't have to call into work. My husband and I didn't have to argue about who was going to take a sick day. And do you know what? In December of last year, I made the most money I've ever made in an entire month. That's called residual income. That's called God's blessings for following an intuition in my spirit that I knew there was something more for our family. And so here is a real life example. I have to preface this. I am not showing you this to brag at all. In fact, there's a lot of heartache and tears and frustration that's mixed into these numbers. But this just gives you a real life, okay, let's take a look. What was she really making in the business? So in 2016, like this is a monthly total that I was making. These are the ranks that I was at. But notice that it kind of follows exactly what you're seeing in those monthly projected incomes all the way up to I hit gold the first time in July of last year. And then I hit diamond for the first time in November. You guys, this is what I'm talking about. This is the month that my son was sick, and like God was taking care of us from all of the work that I had put in previous to that time. And yeah, it's rocky. Notice that I'm going back and forth as we're solidifying different things. But each time I've had to grow personally, I've had to work with my leaders, I've had to help them, and it's been so rewarding. So what are the steps to sharing doTERRA? What do you actually do? I get asked that a lot. What do you actually do? I educate people all the time. I'm always educating. Maybe it's just one-on-one. Maybe I grab coffee with a friend who's struggling in their health, maybe in their mental health, maybe just in life, and I educate them about the oils. And then when they're ready to get started, maybe it's not immediately, but I follow up and I make sure that they're cared for, and then I enroll them. And then after I enroll them, I follow up again, make sure they love their oils, get them connected to all of our resources, and then I repeat it. And then I educate more people and enroll more people and follow up with them. And then the last step is duplicate. I found 4 leaders that want to do what I'm doing, and now I help them do what I'm doing, and I help their leaders do what they're doing, and it builds this huge network of people that are just thrilled to walk alongside people that want to learn how to do oils. If you don't build your own dream, someone else will hire you to build theirs. I loved where I worked. I loved the doctor that I worked for in the chiropractic clinic. But every day when I showed up and I clocked in, I was building his dream. His dream was to own his own practice. His dream was to have an associate, have more time off, flexibility with his family. Every time I clocked in, I was helping his business become more profitable. I was helping his patients feel more connected, more supported. I was helping his dreams come true. And that's okay. There is always going to be a need for people to do that. But if I don't build my own dream, then I'll help build others. I think that's super powerful. So are you intrigued? Maybe you've already jumped off and you're like, whoa, this girl talks way too fast. This is enough, right? If you are intrigued, here's the steps. If you want to screenshot this, you can. But you want to contact your enroller who shared doTERRA with you on my team, get a hold of them and have a personalized business overview. Okay, so this is the time I had to commit. This is my list of people that I want to share with. Like, what do I have to do to make this amount of money? Because this amount of money will change it for me. This amount of money will pay for my oils, whatever it is. This amount of time invested in a purposeful mission will fill me up. How do I make that happen? Be sure you're enrolled as a wellness advocate if you're not enrolled already. If you're a wholesale customer, then please talk with your enroller about upgrading or changing your status, but make sure you talk with them before you actually hit the upgrade button, because there are some specific strategy things that we can do to really help support you. And I don't want you to do that too soon before we're ready. And then ask your enroller to add you to our Living Drop Collective groups. We have one that's called the LDC, that's for customers. And we also have a Living Drop Collective educators group, which is super helpful and will actually help you through business questions and needs. Write out your own personal business why. What would this business do for you at a certain level? Why would you want to pursue it? Explore and learn about your oils regularly. Like, oh, wow, that's tough, right? Most of you want to do that already, but that's really key in making sure you're successful in this business. And then brainstorm a list of who you want to help most. And then we always have upcoming events, trainings, product classes. We have so much help, you guys. You're not going to do this by yourself. I know a lot of people that start in direct sales and they figure it out themselves, and you are not going to do that in this business. If you are living locally, at least close to Sioux Falls, there is a business training already scheduled for Saturday, May 5th. I have 5 tickets, extra tickets, and I'd love to get one to you for that training. It's from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And so please message me if that's something that you can do. So that is the end of my slideshow there. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to stop